Hey there, I'm Brittany Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefine Business Podcast. Welcome to another episode of Redefine Business Podcast. I'm excited for my guest. We were judges at ZinStarter, kind of like a Shark Tank at UVU. And of course, we started chatting like I always love to do. And I'm like, oh, Jake, I got to have you on my podcast. So Jake Fackrell, the co-owner of Savos, welcome to the podcast, Jake.
Brittany, it's great to be here. I'm glad we met, and it was so fun to judge with you at the ZinStarter the other day.
Yeah, it's fun. It's always a good time to meet like other entrepreneurs. So, Jake, I am just fascinated in people's stories of being an entrepreneur, and it's definitely like a roller coaster. It's not for the weak at heart, I always say, but it's so fun to talk to other entrepreneurs, especially successful entrepreneurs, and hear their story and their journey. So, Jake, where do we start? Let's hear the story. Where does your journey start?
Oh boy. Well, you kind of get your roots and your culture and foundation in your youth, of course. In growing up, my parents were awesome. They were great, but they didn't hand out things to me or to any of my brothers. I come from a family of 4 boys, no sisters, which was an adventure in and of itself. Mm-hmm. But growing up, even at the age of like 7 or 8 years old, if we wanted something, my parents would encourage us to go find a way to earn the money to buy it. And that really was the beginning of my entrepreneurial journey. Pushing, I can remember my brother and I formed a company, my older brother. I was probably 8 years old. He was 10. We pushed an old rickety lawnmower around Las Vegas, where I'm from, and around the neighborhood, and just knocking on doors, seeing if we could mow their lawn. And I remember we charged $5 to mow their lawn, and people would have us do that. And I can remember on a Saturday going to mowing 5 or 6 lawns and coming home with this wad of cash in my pocket. And that really set off the bug for this entrepreneurial spirit that I have. Is, you find a need and fill it, and people are willing to pay you for that. That's a pretty cool thing. And it's really exhilarating and exciting when you do that and people are actually willing to pay you for services or a product that you invent.
I love that. That kind of ages you, though, that you were only charging $5 a lawn.
$5 a lawn, and we would pick out the lawns that looked pretty long. You could tell they didn't have a lawn service or anything, and so we would just knock and yeah.
Could we get any kid to do anything for $5 these days? I don't know. So I think that ages you a little bit, but it's all good.
My grandson now, he comes to the house. Pop-ups, I really want to earn some money. I'm trying to earn money for this or that. And what can I do? And so he'll run around the yard doing chores and the house chores, and I'll give him $1 here and $1 there. And he loves it. He's saving up all of his money. So it's kind of.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. So then what happened? So then you go to college.
Yeah. So just part of that journey, growing up, I moved over 30 times before I was 16. And I thought that was normal. I thought everybody moved and everything. And my dad, before we'd start a new elementary school, I never started and ended in the same elementary school in the same year. And so we were always seemed to be moving. And my dad always say, okay, I want to know the names of 2 people in your class when you come home today. So it kind of forced us to open up when we got to school. We had to know who our neighbors were and ask them what their names were and introduce ourselves. And it helped me to create friends and be able to talk to people. And so it doesn't matter what environment I'm in. I think I can relate to people. I can talk to people. I can get to know people because of that experience growing up. And then, so grew up. I graduated from high school when I was 17 and thought, okay, what am I going to do now? I was always planning on serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but couldn't leave till I was 19. And so I had a couple of years to spare, and I joined the Army. So went into the Army, and that was a great learning experience, learning what that was like. And anyway, got home from that and met my now wife, Tamara, during that sort of intermission between kind of the Army and the mission. And we dated and just really fell in love with her. And then I left my mission. I told her, I said, 2 years is a long time, of course, but you shouldn't just wait for me because I said you should date for me. Go and date, meet other guys, go do all your adventures. And she wanted to go to Hawaii to go to school, and she wanted to go to England to go to school, and all these things. So I'm like, you should do all that. And anyway, so started the mission, loved it, got home, and we got engaged the day after I got home.
Oh my gosh. You didn't waste any time, did you?
It was a big surprise to her because we had written, it's not like it's today where you can talk every week. We'd written, every week for 2 years and everything, but I knew that she had been dating others and all that. And so, but I knew what I wanted. And so I wanted her, I loved her. And so, I felt really, really strongly that we should be together. And so we got married. 6 months after my mission, we got engaged. Like I said, the day after I got home, she was shocked, and it took a little convincing, but
but you made it happen. You're persuasive, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's kind of my early adulthood there. So
yeah. Then you went to school. What did you study in school?
Yeah, so we were both in Las Vegas. She was up at BYU at the time, and so of course I came up here and I went to UVU and was studying pre-med. I was a pre-med major. I wanted to be a doctor. At least that's what I thought at the time. And I went to the University of Utah, and I was an athletic trainer, for the football team. And I realized pretty quickly after a couple of years of that I didn't love the athletic training side of things and touching people, especially sweaty people, big sweaty people. So, I thought, oh, do I really want to be a doctor? And during that time, the hours were so scrumptious. I really couldn't even hold down a part-time job or anything. And so we really struggled financially early on because, we're both students and just trying to make ends meet. And I had started a little coupon card business on the side. You've probably seen the coupon cards for different high school fundraisers and different things. And that's what I did. I started one on my own and ended up growing that little business on the side to like 60 schools that were selling it for me from Las Vegas to Ogden, and really was loving that. Like I was looking forward to the challenges every day of building that little business of, what coupons am I going to get? What businesses am I going to go talk to today? And how am I going to sell it? And at first, it was just me printing these cards and going and selling them door to door. And, when we wanted to go home and visit Las Vegas, and say, well, how much money do we need? We need to get some gas money and whatnot. Okay, well, I'll go out and sell 4 cards or 4 or 5 cards and get some money so we can go, buy some gas to go down to Vegas. And that's really how that little company got started. And then it just kind of grew from there. And one day I was doing this athletic training and just realized I want to be in business. I don't want to be in the medical field, on that side of things, and came home and told my wife that that's what I wanted. And she's super, super supportive. One thing about being an entrepreneur is you got to have a very, very supportive spouse.
Yeah. Wait, so were you in medical school at UV?
I was all pre-med. It was still all pre-med.
Okay.
All that, taking chemistry classes and all those things.
So she's like, you're going to be a doctor. And now you want to sell coupon cards. Like, okay, you got a good one then, Jake.
We got married, and she thought I was on the path to be a doctor. And one day out of the blue, I came home and said, I hate this. I love doing the business part of it. I hate doing this athletic training thing, and I don't think I'm going to like being a doctor. And she was super supportive. She said, I support you 100%. Like, if that's what you want to do, let's do it. So switched majors, got into business, and the rest is kind of history. Then from then on, I've always had a business that I've been either starting or running, and it's been a lot of fun and a big adventure. Lots of ups and downs, lots of successes, lots of failures. But that's the life of it.
So how many business? So you are the co-founder of your company now, but like how many businesses did you have, and what are like some failures? Because I think as it's easy to look at you now and say, oh, you're so successful, but like it took you probably a lot of failures to get to where you're at and to learn the things you've learned, right?
Yeah. So I did platinum savings card. That's what that was for. I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so. And we had just bought a home in Provo, and my real estate agent, actually, at the time, we became great friends, and he approached me with an idea to sell homes on this new thing called the internet. This is like 1999.
That ages you. Now that
Yeah.
really ages
I
you, Jake.
know. He's like, we should try to figure out how to sell homes on the internet. Everybody's selling stuff on the internet. And so I thought that's actually a really good idea. We should do it. So think about, you've probably heard of Homey. We were the Homey of our 1999, if
Yeah.
makes sense. So I sold my platinum savings card and started with this business partner. Home Sales Connection is what it was called. And we worked at it really, really hard. We got to a point, we got an investor. He invested like $30,000. We needed more money after a few months of that. And we got with our investor, and we decided, okay, we're going to all put in $100,000 into this company, which for me meant I had to go take out a second mortgage out of my house.
Wow.
And that was a big, big decision at the time. We're new, young
that's a big
family,
risk.
huge risk. My wife and I had talked about it. We weighed out the pros and cons and thought, okay, this is going to work. This is going to be good. So we did it. We did that. And after a year or so, and this is like, so think about that in 1999, into the year 2000, if your kind of technology history, like in 2000, there was a big bubble on tech companies and tech stocks, and it burst in the year 2000. Everything came crashing down in the tech world, and we were not immune to that. Home Sales Connection completely failed. We had actually secured an investor for $1 million. We were flying out to New York to secure all the financing and everything just as the bubble burst. So of course the investor was like, yeah, we're not going to invest anymore.
Oh no.
I can remember waking up at 5 a.m. every day for about 6 months, working until midnight every day, just trying to make this thing work. I did not want to lose my house.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have a failure on my hands. Platinum Savings Card was a success, and now here I am losing our shirts on the Home Sales Connection. And we just, no matter what we tried, we just could not make this thing work. We had some revenue, but not nearly enough to at some point, we just had to pull the plug. We had to, call it quits and say, we gave it our best shot. And then I had discussed it, and we had the option to declare bankruptcy. Like, we were in that much debt and that much in the hole, but we decided we were not going to do that. We were going to find a way to pay off that debt. And she went and got a real job.
Those are the worst.
I had to do that. I realized at that time that to get a job that actually paid, a decent salary, I needed an MBA. So I needed to go back to school and get my MBA at BYU at that time. And so, that kind of was a really hard lesson to learn, tough part of our lives to kind of dig ourselves out of that hole that we'd gotten ourselves into. But you look back on those experiences and you realize, okay, that led to my next venture, which was very successful. Had I not had that experience, I wouldn't have lessons. I wouldn't have even known the right people to connect to do what eventually became Domega, which was my next kind of big company. And that was in a company in real estate. I had gone to work for a different company, but one of my connections from the Home Sales Connection days, one of our vendors that sold us data that we needed to go out and contact, business or homeowners, he kept reaching out to me and said, "Hey, I really want you to come work for my startup." At the time, it was called Landvoice. And eventually, after about a year and a half of working, I went and worked for him as the VP of marketing and sales. So that working for that company gave me an idea of another product that he wasn't doing, and in the same kind of field. And I went and talked to the owner, and I'm like, "Hey, let's start this product." And he's like, "I don't really want to do that. It's a big risk. I don't want to invest the money." And I eventually just said, "Hey, do you mind if I do? Do you mind if I leave the company and start this other this other company, this other product, and then we can become affiliates of each other. And so I went and left and started a company called the RedX, or Real Estate Data Exchange.
Mm-hmm.
We were affiliates of each other and kind of grew our businesses together that way. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah. So
you had to fail to get to that point. And sometimes that's hard. Okay. So then what happened? Then that was your next company.
Yeah. So RedX was an interesting company. I had a couple of business partners and everything. And I eventually ended up wanting to do some different products and services in that company. My partners were like, no, we've got a good thing going here. And as an entrepreneur, one of the maybe drawbacks is that you're always looking for those other opportunities. And sometimes it's hard to sit still and go, oh, okay, once you've created something that's successful and is kind of running on autopilot, you're looking for the next thing. And I'm always doing that. And it's sometimes maybe an Achilles heel a little bit. And so I went to my business partners and I said, hey, let's do these other products and services. And they're like, no, we're happy with what we're doing. And I'm like, well, why don't you guys keep doing this and buy me out? I'll go do this other thing. And so that's what ended up happening. They bought me out. I went and did another thing. It was related in the same industry, and that was called Domega. And then I ended up buying Landvoice. So my old business I worked for, I bought that company and combined the two, and that's what I really did for several years. And it was a very successful company. We had thousands and thousands of clients across the country, mainly real estate professionals. But we also that company we would acquire vast amounts of data. Think about it; it was raw, unstructured, non-normalized data. So think about like an obituary that's just out on the internet. It's kind of written out, talks about grandma, kids and grandkids and who they married, when they got married, all these names and dates and places and everything. And we would get all that data and we would filter it all out automatically with the software that we had developed to not only gather the data, but then to filter it all into useful information. And then we would augment it. We would enhance it with other details for that person, addresses and phone numbers and different things. So we would do that for obituaries and for sell by owners and expired properties and notice of default properties and all those things. And so that ended up being, a really great company that just kind of just evolved into what it became.
Yeah. Wow. And so what happened to that company? Because I know that's not where you're at now.
No, I'm not doing that right now. So just a couple of years ago, I ended up, what happened was back in 2016, my broker, benefits broker, Lou Morin, who owned a company called Magellan, he and I were great friends. We had done business together for many, many years. He'd always provided all of my companies with benefits, health insurance, and those things. And every year he was in my office and we were up for renewals every year, and they were always increasing in price dramatically. 10%, 15%, 20% increase in our premiums. And my second largest expense every year were these health insurance premiums. And it was getting really, really frustrating. We just passed the Affordable Care Act, and healthcare was supposed to be coming down in price, but instead it was skyrocketing in price. Super, super frustrating for not just me, but for all business owners, because that's a huge, huge expense. And Lou was in my office one day. We were talking about our renewals, which were going up like 15%. And I just threw my hands up in the air in frustration, going, Lou, this is ridiculous. We're a young company. We don't ever use our health insurance. Nobody's sick here. Like, why are these costs skyrocketing the way that they are? And he's like, I hear you. In fact, I hear it from business owners. Every meeting I go into, I hear the same kind of sob story from these business owners. And he's like, I've been thinking a lot about it. And I think there's a way that we can solve the problem. And I'm thinking, okay, governments can't solve it. Huge healthcare providers, hospital systems and whatnot can't solve it. Large employers can't seem to solve it. Health insurance companies can't solve it. What makes you think we can solve it? Okay, give me your idea. Let me hear your idea. And let's see, And he told me his idea. At the time, it was basically, the idea was, let's crowdsource, because at the time, because nobody knew what things cost. You go to the hospital, get something done, and you have no idea what it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
He's like, well, when do we know? Well, we know when the bill comes, what it's going to finally cost, months later. So what if we crowdsource medical bills? What if we just had everybody upload their medical bills and we can take all that data and we can like show people what things cost at different hospitals and whatnot. And I kind of laughed him out of my office. I'm like, that nobody's going to crowdsource their medical bills. And what are you thinking? And kind of shoot him out of my office, and we had a good laugh about it. But I actually started thinking about it, and I thought, okay, people are taking pictures of their food, they're taking all these different things, they're uploading it to their Instagram or whatever. I'm like, why not? Why wouldn't people, if they could redact, maybe some, private or personal information, and then upload their bills? Why not? Maybe people would do that. So anyway, I called him up maybe a week or two later and said, I've been thinking about this idea, and we should talk more about it. And so we started talking about it in 2017, and we actually decided we were going to form a company and do this. At the time, it wasn't called Savos; it was called Glass Frog. It was a more B2C play. We were going direct to consumers with this Glass Frog idea, and the whole idea was make healthcare costs transparent, and people would then know what things cost, and they can kind of make wise healthcare purchasing decisions. And so I was starting that company, but at the same time running Domega, and I kept doing that for a while as we were getting this other company off the ground. And then a couple of years ago, things really started taking off we changed the name to Savos, Glass Frog, and decided I was going to sell Domega and really focus on Savos. And so that's what I did. So 2 years ago, I sold Omega, and since I've been focusing on Savos, which has been going extremely well. We've pivoted a few times along the way.
Yeah.
The Glass Frog, which is now Savos, we realized we tried to start charging people a premium for our service of like $10 a month. We got maybe 3 customers, so we were making $30 for this service we were providing, which obviously wasn't going to be anywhere near what we needed, and we kept trying to figure this out, and we couldn't figure it out on that model. So we pivoted. That's what you do when you're an entrepreneur and things aren't quite working, but we feel like we had something. There was a lot of momentum, a lot of traction. We feel like we had something there, but that model wasn't going to work. So we started working with small businesses, small employers, and sold them a product for like, $1,000 a month and that sort of thing. And that was actually working really well in Utah. We got them to buy a kind of a package of data, of healthcare data and other things, telemedicine and those things. And that was going really well in Utah. We tried to expand into other states. And for whatever reason, the Utah market was great, but we couldn't expand it. It wasn't taking off. There was no traction that we could get. And then as luck would have it, or tenacity or hard work, whatever you want to call it, we had one of our partners at the time came to us and said, hey, they are a health sharing community, which is kind of like a health insurance, but their members all share in their costs. It's kind of like Christian Health Ministries or some of those other ones that are out there. They came to us and said, hey, listen, we really like the data you're providing. We want to be able to direct our members to these places that you're finding that have affordable cash prices. Can you provide that data to all 30,000 of our members?
Wow.
So that's kind of when the light bulb went off, and we thought, okay, we're really working hard to go sign up an employer that has maybe 10 employees or 12 employees. We're making $1,000. We can sign up one health share or one health plan with 30,000 members and gain 30,000 members, all at once, instead of what and I think after about a year, we'd maybe gained 10,000 members,
Wow.
and now we can sign up with just one partner and have 30,000 members join. So that's when we pivoted to Savos. We changed our name from Glass Frog to Savos, and it's just kind of a play on words. It's like, savvy, kind of a savvy healthcare shopper.
I like that.
When we first started reaching out to some more of these professionals, providers, when we said we were with Glass Frog, it resonate. It was like a playful name. It was good for parents. We had a mascot. We had a frog running around events and different things. But when you try to talk to these large hospital systems.
Yeah, it needed to be a little bit different.
We're
Yeah,
like,
I could see
that's
that.
wrong. Are you guys serious? Are you for real? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we decided to change the name. And as soon as we changed the name to Savos Health,
yeah,
doors just started opening up for us. And so, yeah.
yeah.
So
Oh, I love
today,
that.
just so Savos, the healthcare transaction, the business of healthcare is broken.
Hmm.
Oh, anybody will tell you, the experience you have when you walk into a medical facility and try to find out what the price is for a procedure, or you hand them a health card, a health insurance card, and that starts this process of claims adjudication that takes months and costs so much money for that. And you don't have any idea as a consumer, as a patient, what's this going to cost? You've got a $3,000 deductible, so you know you're going to pay that, but you never know what bills you're going to get in the mail later. Providers, healthcare providers, they don't know when they're going to get paid or if they're going to get paid, and they spend months and months trying to collect their money from the health plan, and the health plan is losing their shirts because they're paying a fortune for these medical procedures. And so
Hmm.
we realized pretty early on that cash pay solves everything. If you are, as a consumer, go in to get something done, say a knee surgery, and you tell them, and you don't have insurance, you say, hey, I'm just cash pay, give me your cash pay price. They usually have a cash pay price, and it's usually a lot less than the rates you have with the insurance companies. And so that procedure, that experience works really, really well. Like you just go and you pay cash and everything's good. As soon as you say, oh, by the way, I want to pay cash, but I have a third-party payer, a health insurance company that's going to be involved, everything breaks down. The provider's like, okay, I don't know that health insurance company. I don't know how I'm paid, if I'm going to get paid, how much I'm going to get paid. So no, you're not getting my cash pay price. You're getting my contracted rate price. And so we go in as Savos and say, okay, listen, we're going to, provider, we're going to pay you at the time of the procedure. We're going to pay you 100% of what you ask on your cash pay rate. It's your no hassle price. And first, they can't believe it. Like, you're going to pay me everything that I want at the time of the procedure. I don't have to collect my money. And we say, yeah, we're going to pay you 100%. And so they give us a great price. Now, normally we're saving these providers or these payers 50, 60, 70% off of what they would have spent just by cash pay. So we sit right in the middle of the patient, the provider, and the payer, and everybody wins. The payers we save a payer on average over $20,000 per procedure that they run through our platform, which is obviously huge. Millions of dollars a year for these payers. Because we're saving them so much money, they will waive out-of-pocket costs for their members. Instead of paying your $3,000 deductible, they'll say, hey, listen, if you'll use Savos instead of running this through traditional benefits, we'll waive your $3,000 deductible. So the patient's winning. They're getting the world-class experience, a world-class provider, great surgeons, great medical care, and they don't have to pay anything for that knee surgery. Providers get paid immediately exactly what they want, and payers, of course, save $20,000 or more per procedure. So we right in the middle of that, we just make that whole transaction happen. And we thought the biggest sort of compliment we would get is, hey, you saved us so much money, thank you. The biggest one is, that was the absolute best healthcare experience I've ever had. In there and knowing what things are going to cost, knowing that I get things scheduled, and it just is so smooth in our platform. And so that's what
that's awesome.
Since 2017. It's been a long time to get here, but that's what we're doing. So
now you need to do that with auto insurance. Can you do something with auto insurance now, Jake? Come on, can you help us out here?
Don't tempt me.
He cannot sit still. He cannot sit still.
But we have so many things going on right now with Savos. So this is what
that's great.
I'm focused on for a while. So
that's amazing. So, well, and you found a need, you found a pain point, a problem for a lot of people with insurance, and you feel that need, and that's awesome. The other thing that I love too is that you kind of talked about earlier is, as I'm hearing your story, how your beginning of your story worked out was your dad saying, meet two people, and then networking, because it really is like opportunity comes when it's who you know, and building, everything's about relationships and good relationships. And it sounds like you've had a lot of opportunity because you have a lot of really great relationships and people like working with you. So I think that speaks a lot. Good job, Dad. Good job to your dad, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You hit the nail on the head. I think there's a great book called Never Eat Alone.
Hmm.
author, but it's one of my favorites where it's like, look, don't go sit by yourself. Like always include other people,
Yeah.
no matter what you're doing. And when you're at an event, don't just sit there in the corner. Like go meet people. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
When you and I sat next to each other, it was like, hey, that was
Yeah.
very natural for both of us because you're very, very good at this as well. Obviously, is where we say introduce ourselves and hey, what do you do? Well, this is what
Yeah.
I've got this podcast, and it's like and then this one thing leads to another, and you just never know what these relationships
Yeah.
do down the road.
Yeah. I always say I'm a collector of people because I love people. So, it's fun. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other things before we wrap this up is nonprofit. And so I was reading his bio and he has his own nonprofit. And before we hit record, we were talking about this. I love that you give back. I love that that is like such an important like part of like your core values in your business, in your life. Tell us a little bit about your nonprofit because I think that's a big flex right there, Jake. I think that's such an amazing thing. But tell us a little bit about your nonprofit.
Yeah, it's so much fun and so awesome. It's called Change the World Foundation. And I wish I could take credit for all of it. My wife, who is absolutely amazing, she is an attorney. She has her PhD. She's a marriage advocate. She teaches all over the world, but she teaches at BYU Education Week every year on marriage and how do you strengthen your marriage. And so one of the things that we love to do is we go around the world and we do marriage seminars where we teach people how do you strengthen your marriages and your families, and it's one of the things that she absolutely loves. She has a book out now called two really great books that she just released, her life's work, Mindful Marriage, and the other one is Masterful Communication. And so through this, in teaching other people, how to strengthen their marriages, during COVID, it was really hard to go around and training people and everything. And a couple of my kids ended up in the Dominican Republic during COVID to serve, to just help where they could. And so they were there they were building houses. We got involved with a nonprofit in the Dominican because they just wanted an opportunity to serve. And it was really hard during COVID to do that. So they were there serving, building houses, delivering food packs, doing those things. And one day they called us and they said, hey, listen, we ran into this couple and they're awesome people. They become great friends of ours. They're living as a family, they've got kids and everything, but they're technically not married and they really want to get married. Can we help them get married? And we said, well, yeah. How much does it cost? Well, the marriage license costs $150. And so we're like, absolutely, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll help them get married. And so that was the beginning of this nonprofit that we're doing. We helped this couple get married. They were so grateful. The people in the Dominican Republic are awesome, salt of the earth people. We have grown to love them so much. But many of them, as in lots of Latin American countries, start their lives together as families, but they're not married. They just can't afford it. They're $150 to them is like a month's salary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So coming to fight. So this lady that we helped get married, she's awesome. Her name is Nancy. She put it up on her Facebook. Hey, I got married, and we actually ended up sponsoring her kind of reception there. They call it a boda. We did her reception, so she invited all her friends, and everybody's like, "How did you do this? How are you able to afford this?" And she's told everybody, "Hey, this family helped me and do this." And so all of a sudden, we're getting all these requests. Hey, can you help us get married? Can you help us get married? And so we would help them get married. And we did dozens of these, and we thought we need to start a foundation and help more and more people. And so that's what we did. We started this foundation called Change the World Foundation. The primary focus is to help people get married. And it goes beyond just, obviously it's great to help people get married, but the foundation of every community, of every society are families. And when people are living together and they're not officially married, they're God-fearing people, but they want to get married. And so we help them do that. And now the foundation, we've raised some money. We just had a big gala a couple of months ago, which was a lot of fun as a fundraiser. And now we've helped nearly 400 couples get married.
That's amazing.
And so that's been super, super fun. We go now 2 or 3 times a year. My wife is there right now doing a women's retreat. And my sons run youth groups through the Dominican every summer. We've done dozens and dozens of youth through there now, where they go and they not only serve, but they have a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
It's just a great adventure spot for these youth as well. And so anyway, it's become part of our lives now, where we have some villas there. When people go down there, they can stay at the villas, and it's just been such a gratifying thing. You know, when you have a business that's successful and things are in place in your life, and then being able to give back in your community or in the world, and it's just fun. It's something that just brings so much joy to us. And so that's one of the things we focus on now is this
that's amazing
foundation that we do. So
amazing. All right, Jake. Well, this has been so fun and inspiring for sure. But I like to end all of my podcasts by asking my guests 2 questions. Okay. The first one is, what is a pet peeve? And the second one is, what is a simple pleasure? So first, let's start with the pet peeve so we can end on a positive note. But what is a pet peeve?
Yeah, so one of my core values, a personal core value of mine, is optimism. Mm-hmm. And so I think a pet peeve, if something is bothering me, I don't like that. I'll address it. I'll try to stay positive with it. I give people the benefit of the doubt. And so I try not to have pet peeves. I try not to.
Yeah. Okay.
So I try to keep things positive, and I want to stay optimistic. So
so you're going to pass on the pet peeve.
Something's bothering me, but I don't want to focus on pet peeves.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay. What is a simple pleasure? So you must have a lot of simple pleasures if you don't have pet peeves.
So life gets super busy.
Yeah.
My wife and I, obviously she has a great law firm that she runs. I have Savos, and we both run the nonprofit Change the World Foundation. We have 6 kids. We have 8 grandkids. We have a lot going on in our lives. And if you ever stop to just, take a breath, things just get too hectic and too busy and too just not very much fun. Right. And so my wife and I will often just take a minute in the evening and just go stargazing. We'll go lay on the trampoline and
I love it.
In the stars, and just take a few minutes to ourselves. I love nature. I love getting into the outdoors. So whether that's with my wife or if I love to trail run. So I'll just go up behind my house and run up the mountain and run back.
Yeah.
No music, no anything, just
no music. Wow. I do love the mountains, so I can relate.
Yeah. And you can just listen to the birds and the peace and the calm that kind of comes from all that. And your mind just gets clear. You just clear your mind of everything that's going on. And that is such a simple pleasure, but it's so gratifying. And it just kind of is a kind of a reset.
Yeah.
Every day when you do something for yourself that you just get away from it all.
Yeah, I agree.
Peace and quiet in your life. And that's it.
I love it. So. Well, Jake, this has been so good. Love those simple pleasures for sure. Thank you so much for joining me, telling me your story and all the things. Thanks so much.
You're welcome, Brittany. It's been such a pleasure. Thank you.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.